Hey everybody, it is Matthew of Mr. Domestic. This video is a video that is long overdue. I am super duper jazzed and excited to sew, and anyone I meet, I tell them that they need to try it because it's super fun. And more often than not, I hear these words: I don't even know how to sew a button on my clothes. So that's what this video is going to teach you to do. So before we get into the content, anytime you're feeling it, make sure to give this video the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now let's get ready to have some fun together. My intention for this video is to remove any barrier that any of y'all out there might have about putting on a button on one of your garments or a bag, something where a button has fallen off. And for this, I have some snips. These are just fancy snips, but any kind of scissors will work. This is some thread that I had. I have some glue. I've already glued this down, but essentially what I use glue for, if any kind of glue stick will work, like one of your kids' glue sticks, I just put a little dab of glue on here and then I put the button on it, regardless of what size it is, and that keeps it in place so I don't even have to think about it whenever I'm sewing. And then I have this thread. It's looped. It's essentially 2 strands now because there's a loop on this side, right? And I know there are some of y'all out there, if you've clicked on this by happenstance, you're like, I can't even thread a needle. I hear that one all the time too. Well, there are things called self-threading needles right there. You just pop it right in. You don't have to thread the needle. Let me show you. So there's this loop here, right? And then you just go. There are 2 ridges there and you'll hear a pop. Hear that? That's how you know it's threaded, and that is all you have to do. It takes away all of the angst that some of y'all might have about threading a needle. And then, as you see, I have 2 needles here. This one, what this does is it will create space here for what is called the shank whenever you are sewing on a button. So it creates that space for you that makes it easier for you to put on your buttons or secure your buttons. So I'm going to start on the back, and before I do that, I'm going to leave probably 2 inches excess and then just tie a single knot just so that it catches and it stops essentially. And then we're gonna hide that later on, right? So now we have the back, and I'm gonna go in a crisscross. Sometimes they go straight, sometimes they go crisscross. Just make sure to match whatever is going on your garment, whatever is going on with the other buttons. So now I start in the back, and it comes up, see? Like that. I'm just gonna pull on it until it stops. And then now you take the needle and put it in between the holes like that. You only have to hold it for a couple passes and then it'll stay in place. So then you'll go down. And then you'll go back up. And you'll do this between 6 and 8 times, I found on average. And it really just depends on the thickness of the thread that you found or what it looks like with the other buttons. I just essentially do it until it matches the thickness of the strands with the other buttons. But this should be faster because it's essentially 2 strands of thread going at the same time. Da-da-da-da-da. Look at that magic. Yay. I'll do one more time, okay? And now essentially this is in place. I don't even need to hold the needle anymore. And then I'm gonna go through the back. See how it's going through the back? And pull this back up. And I'm gonna go the other cross like this. And with this one, you need to be not necessarily concerned about it, but you need to watch for it and have the thread go as close to the center as possible. That just will help secure the button. But with like smaller traditional like shirt size buttons, you don't have to worry about that. The holes are pretty small. Like this. And it will all make sense why this needle is here once I remove it. I've made probably myself about, I don't know, 25 to 30 button-up shirts just because I really love it. And once you make a piece of clothing that fits you perfectly, like you can't buy store-bought anymore. But one issue that I had for the longest time, since I would use a machine to stitch my buttons on, was that they were too tight. And whenever I tried to like close it, it was nearly impossible, especially with thicker buttons. Then once I learned this trick, I was like, OMG, I have been missing out. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back up one more time, right? But I'm not going through the hole. I want it to go in between the button and the placket. And then I'm going to remove that needle. And then this is where the magic happens. You take this thread that is here, and it looks kind of wonky right now, but it's all about to tighten. You take it and you wrap it around. And then you pull on it, wrap it around, and pull on it. And it's gonna bring all of those threads toward the middle. I'll do it one more time. And then any spot, just bring it back towards the back. Dun, 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 dun. And you had this excess right here. And then I just tie this in a double knot right here. And now essentially you have 4. I remove that needle, but since you have a self-threading needle, you just thread all 4 of them. And that double knot that you just did, you're gonna hide these threads in the placket. There's essentially a fabric sandwich with some air in between too. And this is how all shirts, literally all shirts, all garments are made. And it's going in between those two. And as long as you want it to be, see, it's not going in the front. You don't see that needle in the front, it's only in the back. So you do that, pull it, you'll hear it pop whenever that knot is hidden. And then all you do is pull in a little bit, snipping, and that's a little quilting trick that I brought over to the apparel world. And that's the back, looks really profesh, and then look at the front. Look at that. That is some professional button stitching. So now you can do it. Now you can sew a button on your clothes like a boss. So if you enjoyed this video, got a tip or a trick or two, make sure to give the video the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Keep it positive, y'all. Mr. Domestic out. Thanks for watching my video. You can subscribe on the right, just click on my face and watch some of my other videos on the left.